As the family was nearing baptism, they received a barrage of literature critical of the church. This was before the internet, but the material filled a large cardboard box. The large box of pamphlets critical of the church was in the middle of the room. The adversary and those who assist him, knowingly or unwittingly, have created on the internet the equivalent of the box full of written material critical of the church described earlier, intended to draw you away from God's truth. The issues raised to create doubt over the years have been remarkably similar. This is especially true when you compare our day with the 1960s, when I was in my 20s.
So, what issues do they raise in this box of critical literature? Let's take a look at the top 7 anti-Mormon lies. After we list them off, we can do a quick dive into where these claims come from. Number 1. Joseph Smith was a treasure digger. They claim that he would put a rock in a hat and look into it to tell people where they could find buried treasure, but none was ever found, and he was arrested for this fraudulent practice. Number 2. Joseph used that same rock and hat to translate the Book of Mormon. He used this rock he found, rather than the Urim and Thummim that was given to him by God to translate with. They claim he just buried his face in the hat while the golden plates were either covered, or in many cases, not even in the room. Number 3. Joseph bought an Egyptian papyrus that he claims was written by the hand of Abraham himself, and he went on to translate it into the Book of Abraham. We have this papyrus today, and the translation is incorrect, and has nothing to do with Abraham, nor did it come from his time. Number 4. There are multiple contradictory accounts of Joseph's first vision, and the first account did not have Jesus in it, but was just God telling him his sins were forgiven. The first recorded telling of any account was in 1832. Which is 12 years after it was said to have happened. There was no account of any such vision in the early Doctrine and Covenants, church newspapers, missionary pamphlets, or journals from members. In fact, they claim that there is no evidence that anyone had even heard of such a vision until 1840, which is 20 years after it was said to have happened. Number 5. DNA studies show that Native Americans and all people indigenous to the Americas, who are supposed to be descendants of the Lamanites, are not from Jerusalem. They are from Asia, thus proving that the Book of Mormon is not historical. Number 6. Joseph Smith had more than 30 wives, lied to his wife Emma about it, and told all of the other wives to keep it a secret. Many of these women were teenagers, as young as 14 years old, and many were already married to other faithful members. He even told some of them that an angel threatened his life with a flaming sword if he did not obey, putting immense pressure on these young women. And at 7th, they claim that the temple and priesthood ban for black members did not come from God, but that Brigham Young and many subsequent prophets were just racist. So where do all these anti-Mormon lies come from? Many come from books written by former members who were excommunicated for teaching these ideas. Now, many faithful members have written books touching on these subjects, and even citing those previous books as sources. These books include the Saints series, Rough Stone Rolling by Richard Bushman, and the Let's Talk About series. All of which are available for purchase from Deseret Book. So, it is true when Quentin L. Cook said,
The issues raised to create doubt over the years have been remarkably similar.
Then why has the church's position on all of these issues changed? Yesterday's anti-Mormon literature is today's gospel topic essays. That's right, the church now admits to all of these issues and has posted them on their own website. Now, before you go accusing me of
have created on the internet the equivalent of the box full of written material critical of the church described earlier.
I will provide the links to these articles on the church's website in the description below, so you can see for yourself. Let me know if you would like to see me cover each of these issues in depth, discussing the actual sources, the anti-position, and the church's position. I can even include quotes from church scholars like Richard Bushman, like this.
I think for the church to remain strong, it has to reconstruct its narrative. The dominant narrative is not true.
We still have pictures on our bulletin boards of Joseph Smith with gold plates in front of him. And that's become an irksome point, and I think something the church should pay attention to. Because anyone who studies the history knows that is not what happened. There is no church historian who says that is what happened. And yet it's being propagated by the church. So I think we ought to just stop that immediately. I'm not sure we need a lot of pictures in our chapels of Joseph Smith looking into his hat, but we certainly should tell our children that that's how it worked. It also raises the strange question, what in the world are the plates for? Why do we need them on the table if they're just wrapped up in a cloth while he looks into a seer stone?
Where did he get the seer stone? Where did he find?
He found it. It wasn't given him by God. An angel didn't come. So far as anyone can tell, just a rock. Mormons were a little embarrassed by them. A seer stone didn't seem quite right for a prophet of God. And so they began to change the story. Instead of talking about seer stones or spectacles, spectacles, they use the word Urim and Thummim.
Some people may have concerns that the history was changed.
Well, it was changed. The Smiths immediately began trying to bury the fact. Joseph Smith played down his treasure-seeking background as just a little episode with Josiah Stowell. They changed one of the revelations to insert the word Urim and Thummim. See, that's acceptable, desirable, versus seerstone. Scholars seems to show that what was on the scrolls we actually have is not what's in the book of Abraham.
Algorithms can lead you down a path that destroys faith and impairs your eternal progression. You can be acted upon positively or negatively. Seek righteousness and avoid dark internet rabbit holes and doom scrolling.
Just trust us.
Follow the prophet. Don't go astray.